Flip the Script by Oren Klaff. The best way to sell is to stop selling. In the world of high-stakes deals, persuasion often backfires. The harder you try to sell, the more people resist. That's the paradox Oren Klaff unpacks in Flip the Script. His approach flips traditional sales psychology on its head. Instead of convincing prospects, you guide them to convince themselves. Instead of chasing, you attract. At the core is a powerful mindset. You are the prize. You're not pitching out of desperation. You're not trying to get approval. You're calmly leading, positioning, framing. The buyer must pursue you, not the other way around. In a world flooded with noise and pressure-based tactics, Klaff teaches you to rise above it by using inception, status alignment, strategic storytelling, and tension-based closing. This isn't manipulation. It's leadership. It's understanding how human behavior works and designing conversations that make people feel in control, while you guide the outcome. Let's break down the core ideas that will shift your influence forever. Chapter 1. Inception, not persuasion. The moment you try too hard to convince someone, they unconsciously pull back. It's human nature. Nobody wants to feel like they're being sold. That's why Klaff says to abandon persuasion and embrace inception. It's not about planting false ideas. It's about creating an environment where the truth of your value becomes so clear, the prospect believes they discovered it themselves. Inception begins with curiosity. Ask questions that guide their thinking. Frame your expertise so they arrive at their own insight. That you are the solution. When they feel like the decision is theirs, they defend it. Own it. Believe in it. This isn't passive, it's intentional. You're still steering the conversation, but subtly. You control the frame. You control the pace. But they feel in charge. For example, instead of saying, "My solution will increase your revenue by 20%, you could ask, "If a system helped you recover the 20% revenue you're losing due to inefficiencies, what would that mean for your bottom line?" You're leading them to a conclusion without pushing it. You're prompting insight instead of presenting it. The mind resists external persuasion, but welcomes internal realization. Inception is powerful because it bypasses resistance. It invites the buyer into their own story of discovery, and when someone owns the insight, they act on it. Chapter 2. Start with strong positioning. The fastest way to lose a deal is to act like you need it. Desperation destroys trust. That's why Klaff insists that every interaction begins with positioning. How you present yourself determines how others respond to you. You are not a vendor. You are not another option. You are the authority in your space. High-status behavior isn't about arrogance. It's about quiet confidence. It's knowing you belong at the table and communicating that through your tone, pace, and posture. Klaff introduces the concept of status alignment, which means you align yourself with the buyer, not beneath them, not above them, but as a peer with equal or greater value. Positioning begins even before you speak. It's how you enter the room. It's how you open the call. If you sound unsure, over-explain, or rush to pitch, you've already lost power. Instead, position yourself as someone selective, someone who works with the right clients, not everyone who inquires. A high-status individual doesn't need to over-justify. They're calm, composed, and slightly detached. They know their value. They're here to assess fit, not plead for attention. When you hold this frame, the prospect begins to qualify themselves for you. They try to earn your time. They seek your approval. And that's when the dynamic shifts. You're not chasing the deal. You're allowing it. Strong positioning protects your time and elevates your authority. When you operate from status, the buyer naturally defers to your leadership. And when you lead with certainty, they follow. Chapter 3: The Flash Roll. One of Klaff's most impactful tools is the flash roll, a short, high-velocity statement that showcases your mastery within seconds. Think of it as a verbal demonstration of expertise that instantly earns respect. But this isn't about listing credentials. It's not a brag. It's a pattern break. A well-executed flash roll forces the buyer to stop evaluating you and start evaluating how your insight applies to them. Imagine this. You walk into a meeting and in 30 seconds, you lay out the exact industry challenges the client is facing, using insider language, detailed metrics, and pinpoint observations. Not only do they feel understood, they feel outmatched. That's when authority is established. A flash roll should feel like a burst of insight. The goal is to compress deep industry knowledge into a short burst that proves you don't just know your stuff. You know their world better than they do. And when that happens, they stop asking, "Why should we listen to you?" and start thinking, "How do we work with you?" Flash rolls are powerful because they flip the dynamic. Instead of you pitching, they begin to engage. They ask questions, they lean in. Their posture changes from resistance to receptivity. Klaff is clear. This tactic only works if it's sharp, confident, and delivered with speed. It's not a monologue, it's a spark. A moment of high-status impact that makes people reassess who's really leading the conversation. When you master the flash roll, you don't need long introductions. You earn the right to guide the discussion, quickly and decisively. Chapter 4: Case Study Selling. Humans are wired for stories. Data may inform, but stories move. That's why Klaff encourages you to stop pitching features and start sharing transformations through case studies. A case study isn't a testimonial. It's a narrative. It starts with a problem, moves through a journey, and ends with a result. And most importantly, it mirrors the prospect's situation so closely that they begin to imagine themselves inside the story. When you tell a great case study, you're not bragging, you're showing. You're allowing the buyer to connect the dots on their own. You create emotional resonance, not just logical alignment. Great case studies are short, specific, and focused on outcomes. They include context, challenges, the decision to work with you, and the measurable results that followed. But the magic isn't in the details. It's in the identification. When the buyer says, "That's me," the sale is already halfway done. What makes this method so powerful is that it lowers resistance. Instead of arguing your point, you demonstrate proof. You shift the spotlight away from you and onto what's possible for them. Case study selling builds trust without pressure. It shows that others have walked this path, found success, and emerged transformed. And when done well, it creates a sense of inevitability. Working with you just feels like the natural next step. This kind of storytelling positions you as both expert and guide. You're not the hero, they are. You're the trusted voice who helped others win, and now you're inviting them to write their own story of success. Chapter 5: Lead them to the close without pushing. The close is where most people blow it. They either get anxious and rush, or they back off and lose momentum. Klaff offers a third path: lead with tension, not pressure. He teaches that people respond best when they feel like they're choosing, not being sold. So instead of pushing, you create space. You hold the tension. You let silence do some of the talking. The key is to build up value and then ask questions that invite ownership. Not, "Are you ready to buy?" but, "Does this feel like the kind of solution you've been searching for?" Not, "Should I send over a proposal?" but, "If this is a fit, what does the next step look like from your side?" These subtle shifts keep the buyer in the driver's seat, while you're still guiding the road. This approach works because it respects autonomy. It honors intelligence. And it keeps emotional tension high, which is essential for action. People don't move because of logic. They move because of momentum. And Klaff teaches you how to build that momentum with presence, not pressure. Your calm confidence signals that you're okay either way, that you have options, that you're not desperate. And that posture makes people want to move toward you, not away. A great close doesn't feel like a close. It feels like alignment, like the final piece clicking into place. You've guided them to clarity. Now they're ready to commit, not because you pushed, but because you positioned. Chase nothing. Attract everything. Flip the Script is more than a sales manual. It's a new lens for influence, one rooted in strength, not force. Presence, not persuasion. Respect, not pressure. You don't need to chase every deal. You need to become someone worth chasing. This was Flip the Script by Oren Klaff, brought to you by Success Resources Books Insights. You don't need to become more. You need to become present. This is more than mindset. It's a mission. Keep seeking. Keep growing. Keep giving. And together, let's make the world rich again.